Have you ever felt like you didn't belong? Like the world didn't see who you really are? What if your own childhood felt more like a nightmare than a memory? What if pain was your first language and silence your only friend? Hello, my amazing friends. Welcome to Learn English with Stories. 365. The place where dreams are born, where pain becomes power, and where you can improve your English through the most inspiring real-life stories. Today I bring you a story that is emotional, raw, and unforgettable. This is not just the story of a famous actor. This is the story of a fragile heart in a cruel world. It is about Johnny Depp. Yes, the man behind Captain Jack Sparrow. The mysterious eyes, the charming voice. But today, we're going behind the scenes, far away from the lights and cameras, because what most people don't know is the pain he carried behind every smile. He was not born lucky. He was not born rich. He was not born a star. He was a lost boy in a storm. But he had one thing that kept him alive, a dream. And today, you will walk with him through the shadows and into the light. And while you walk with him, you will also build your English step by step. You'll learn new words, hear simple, clear sentences, and feel every emotion in English. So open your heart, open your ears, and open your notebook if you're ready to learn. Because this is the real story of Johnny Depp, a story of fame, pain, and redemption. Let's begin. Part 1. A Broken Beginning. Johnny Depp was born on June 9, 1963, in a small town called Owensboro, Kentucky. His full name is John Christopher Depp Thuders. From the outside, it looked like a normal beginning. But inside the walls of his home there was chaos, sadness, and fear. He was the youngest of 4 children. His family didn't have much money. They moved from one small house to another more than 20 times before Johnny turned 13. Imagine being a child and never having a real home, never knowing where you will sleep next month. That was Johnny's childhood. Always moving, always starting over. His mother, Betty Sue, worked hard as a waitress, but she was not kind. She was emotionally abusive. She would insult Johnny, make him feel small, call him names, and sometimes even hurt him. She was full of anger, and she gave that anger to her children. Johnny once said his mother was the meanest human he ever met. His father, John Depp Sr., was a quiet man. He was a civil engineer, but instead of protecting his family one day, he just left. He walked away and never came back. Johnny was only 15. That day, he became the man of the house, a boy trying to protect his mother, even when she was hurting him. A boy trying to be strong while feeling completely broken inside. Johnny later described his childhood as a place filled with violence, sadness, and silence. He said there was no peace in that house, so he searched for peace in other places. He started smoking when he was a teenager. He kept everything inside, never showing how much it hurt. But even in all that darkness, Something beautiful was waiting. A spark, a sound, a gift. On his 12th birthday, his mother gave him something unexpected, a guitar. He didn't know how to play it, but when he held it, something changed. For the first time, he felt free. He locked himself in his room for hours. He played, he listened, he learned. Music became his escape, his comfort, his secret friend. It was the only thing that made him feel alive. When everything around him was falling apart, music helped him survive. It didn't fix his pain, but it gave him something stronger than pain, a dream. Johnny knew one thing for sure. He didn't want to live like this forever. He wanted out. He didn't want to follow the same broken path. He wanted to become someone different, someone real, someone free. But escaping pain is never easy, and life was about to test him in new ways, because holding a guitar was one thing, turning a dream into reality, that was something else, and the road ahead would not be soft. But Johnny Depp was ready to take his first step. Part 2. Music, Escape, and Rebellion. By the time Johnny turned 16, school felt useless to him. Sitting in a classroom listening to teachers talk about math and history, it didn't make sense. He wanted to feel something real. He wanted to live through sound, not textbooks. So one day, he made a bold decision. He dropped out of high school. No diploma, no plan, just a dream and a guitar. He joined a garage band called The Kids. They played rock music, loud, wild, full of fire. Johnny loved it. On stage, he could scream without words. He could feel free even if just for a few minutes. The band played in bars and small clubs. They made little money, but for Johnny, it was never about the money. It was about the music. It was about not being invisible. His tiny apartment had no heat. He often skipped meals, but he didn't care, because every night he had a reason to keep going. At age 20, Johnny got married. Her name was Laurie Ann Allison. She was a makeup artist 5 years older than him. She believed in him. She supported his music. Their marriage didn't last long, just 2 years, but Laurie gave Johnny something more valuable than love. She gave him a connection that would change everything. One afternoon, Laurie introduced Johnny to her friend, a young actor named Nicolas Cage. Cage looked at Johnny and said, "You have a face. People remember. You should try acting." Johnny laughed. He didn't want to be an actor. He wanted to be a rock star. But rent was due, and the band wasn't making money. So he thought, why not? What could he lose? Nicolas Cage helped him get an audition for a small horror movie called A Nightmare on Elm Street. Johnny had never taken acting classes. He had no experience. But when the director saw Johnny's nervous charm and intense eyes, he gave him the role. Just like that, Johnny was in his first film. He didn't play the hero. In fact, he was killed by a bed in one of the film's most famous scenes. But for Johnny, it wasn't about the size of the role. It was about the feeling, the moment, the spark. For the first time he felt something close to music, but deeper. Acting was emotional music. It was pain turned into performance. Johnny had found a second escape, one that would take him far from the small clubs and smoky bars, one that would change his life forever. But fame, like fire, burns, and Johnny's journey was only just beginning. Part 3: Accidental Actor. After his small role in A Nightmare on Elm Street, Johnny Depp didn't expect anything big. He thought it was just a way to pay rent, just a side job while he chased his music dream. But something unexpected happened. People started noticing him, his face, his presence. Even though he was on screen for just a short time, there was something about him that stayed in people's minds. His deep eyes, his quiet intensity. He wasn't trying to be a star, he was just trying to survive. Johnny kept going to auditions even when he didn't believe in himself. Casting agents weren't sure what to do with him. He wasn't the typical Hollywood guy. He didn't smile like a model. He didn't act like a superhero. He was different, strange, real. And then came the role that would change everything. In 1987, Johnny was cast in a new TV show called 21 Jump Street. He played an undercover cop who looked like a teenager and worked in high schools. The show became a hit almost overnight. Millions of young people across America fell in love with him. Suddenly, he was on posters, on magazine covers, in teenage dreams. He had become a heartthrob, a teen idol. But Johnny hated it. He didn't want to be a pretty face. He didn't want to say lines written to make girls scream. He wanted to act, to create, to express pain and madness and truth. He felt trapped. He once said, "I felt like a product, not a person. I was being sold like a box of cereal." So after 4 seasons, at the height of his fame, Johnny made a dangerous choice. He walked away. Hollywood didn't understand him. Why would a young actor throw away such easy fame? But Johnny wasn't looking for easy. He was looking for meaning. So he started choosing roles no one else wanted. Roles that were strange, emotional, risky. In 1990, he played the lead in Edward Scissorhands, directed by Tim Burton. He didn't speak much in the film. He had scissors instead of hands. But behind the silence, behind the makeup, was a broken soul trying to be loved. And people felt it. Johnny had taken all his childhood pain, all the rejection, the loneliness, the fear, and turned it into something beautiful. Edward Scissorhands wasn't just a movie. It was a message. Even broken, things can be beautiful. After that, Johnny kept choosing roles that told stories of outsiders, people who didn't fit in Benny and June, What's Eating Gilbert Grape, Dead Man. These were not blockbuster films, but they were full of heart, full of struggle, full of Johnny. He didn't care about money. He didn't care about being famous. He just wanted to play the truth, to show the world what it feels like to be invisible, to be lost, to be human. But while his career was growing, something else was growing too. A shadow, a sadness he couldn't escape, a storm inside him that no camera could see. Johnny was becoming a star, but he was also falling deeper into something dark, and the world would soon see both sides of him, the light and the shadow. Because fame for Johnny Depp was never just a dream. It was a test, and the real battle was still ahead. Part 4. Rising Star, Falling Heart. By the mid-1990s, Johnny Depp had become something rare in Hollywood, an artist who refused to follow the rules. He didn't take roles to make money. He didn't care about being the biggest name on the screen. He chose stories that meant something to him, characters that reflected his inner world. People began to admire his courage. Directors wanted to work with him, but behind his growing success, there was a deep sadness that never left. Johnny once said, "I carry my childhood with me. It's still in my bones. No matter how many films he made, no matter how many awards he won, the pain from his past stayed alive." He started smoking at a young age. That habit stayed with him for life. Later, he began drinking. At first, it was just to relax, to calm the storm inside, but soon it became more than that. It became a way to forget. "I didn't drink to have fun," Johnny said in an interview. "I drank to stop thinking, to stop feeling." That's the part of his story many people didn't see. The magazines showed his face, his smile, his strange and beautiful roles, but they didn't show the loneliness, the fear, the self-doubt. Even as he gave unforgettable performances, he often felt like an outsider. Hollywood was full of bright lights and loud voices, but Johnny was quiet. He liked being alone. He read poetry. He played guitar in the dark. He felt more comfortable in sadness than in celebration. Still, he kept working. He partnered again and again with director Tim Burton, creating a strange, dark universe of characters. Ichabod Crane in Sleepy Hollow, Willy Wonka in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, and later the Mad Barber in Sweeney Todd. These roles were not just performances. They were mirrors. They reflected parts of Johnny's soul. Each character was wounded, unusual, misunderstood, just like him. Then came the role that changed everything. In 2003, Johnny starred as Captain Jack Sparrow in Pirates of the Caribbean. At first, people thought the movie would fail, but Johnny brought something magical to the character. He made Jack Sparrow funny, wild, and full of heart. No one had ever seen a pirate like that before. Children loved him. Adults loved him. The world loved him. The movie became a massive hit. Johnny became one of the most famous actors on earth. He was nominated for an Oscar. He became the face of a billion-dollar franchise. But even then, he didn't change. He still avoided parties. He still felt uncomfortable in interviews. He still didn't feel like he belonged. Fame brought money, houses, and attention, but it didn't bring peace. At the same time, Johnny was building a family. He met French singer and actress Vanessa Paradis. They had 2 children together, Lily Rose and Jack. For a while, Johnny said being a father gave him something he never had before: unconditional love. He loved being with his children. He called them his reason to keep going. But life doesn't stay soft for long. Johnny's relationship with Vanessa ended after 14 years. Soon after, he married actress Amber Heard. What followed was not love. It was war. Their marriage was full of anger, accusations, and eventually a public and painful divorce. The world watched as their private pain became a media circus. Johnny was called names. He lost roles. He lost friends. For the first time, people began to turn against him. But Johnny didn't fight with loud words. He stayed quiet. He let the storm pass. Inside, though he was breaking again. Fame had brought him high. But now, it was pushing him down. This was the darkest chapter of his life. But it was not the end. Because even when everything is falling, there is always a choice: to give up or to rise again. And Johnny Depp, he still had one more act to play. Part 5. The Curse of Success. After Pirates of the Caribbean. Johnny Depp became more than an actor. He became a global icon. Children dressed like Jack Sparrow. People laughed at his wild walk, his slurred voice, his funny smile. What many didn't know was that Johnny had created that character using pieces of himself. His freedom, his madness, his pain. The world saw a pirate. Johnny saw a mirror. The success brought him more movies, more money, more fame. He bought islands, castles, expensive art, and guitars. He gave money to charity, helped sick children, and supported artists. But success can be dangerous. Fame can be a beautiful poison. And for Johnny, it came with a cost. As the years passed, Johnny's private life became more chaotic. He had everything people dream of: fame, fortune, fans, but something inside was still broken. He once said, "Money doesn't change anything. It just makes the pain easier to hide." And that's what he did. He hid. His drinking got worse. He often looked tired in interviews. On some movie sets, people whispered about delays, mood swings, and problems. His talent was still there, but the light in his eyes was fading. Behind the scenes, the storm was growing. In 2015, Johnny married Amber Heard. The world was surprised. Their love seemed fast and strange. Soon after, stories of fights, broken things, and angry words began to spread. A year later, Amber filed for divorce. She accused Johnny of abuse. The news exploded. Headlines around the world painted Johnny as a monster. He lost movie roles. Studios didn't want his name. Some friends stayed silent. Some fans left. But others still believed in him. Still, the pain was deep. He said, I felt like my life was taken from me. I was guilty before I could speak. Johnny stayed quiet at first, but then he fought back. He filed lawsuits to clear his name. He gave interviews. He showed evidence. The battle went on for years. It was not just about love or anger. It was about truth, pain, and survival. During this time, he returned to music. He played guitar with a band called Hollywood Vampires. On stage, he looked free again. For a few hours, under the lights, he could be just Johnny, not the actor, not the headline, just a man with a guitar and a broken heart. But the world still had its eyes on him. In 2022, the final court trial between Johnny and Amber was shown live. Millions of people watched every word, every tear, every moment. For 6 weeks, the world saw not a movie, but real pain, real questions, and real courage. Johnny spoke softly, calmly. He didn't shout. He didn't try to impress. He just told his story. Day after day, he said, "I have lost nothing less than everything." In the end, the jury believed him. The court ruled in his favor. He won. But more than money, he won something deeper. His voice, his name, his truth. When he walked out of the courtroom, he didn't raise his fists. He didn't dance. He simply smiled. A small, tired smile. The world had torn him down, but he had survived. This was not the return of a star. It was the return of a man. A man who had faced the worst and still stood tall. A man who knew that fame can burn you, but truth can save you. And Johnny Depp, after all the silence, the storms, the sadness, was finally free to begin again. Part 6. Fighting for Redemption. After the court victory, Johnny Depp did not rush back into the spotlight. He didn't make big speeches or demand attention. He did something simple. He played music. With his guitar in hand, he returned to the stage with the Hollywood Vampires. There, under soft lights in front of real fans, Johnny smiled again. Not as a celebrity, not as a character, just as a man who had survived. The pain was still there, but now it had space to breathe. He began painting more, writing more, speaking less. He spent time with old friends, focused on art, and traveled to small towns. For once, the noise of fame was quiet, and in that quiet, Johnny started to rebuild. In 2023, he returned to the big screen, not in Hollywood, but in France. He played King Louis XV in the historical film Jean du Barry. It was his first film after years of silence. Some said it was risky. Others said it was brave. But Johnny didn't care about the critics anymore. He just wanted to create. The movie opened at the Cannes Film Festival. As Johnny walked onto the red carpet, people stood and clapped. They didn't see a fallen star. They saw a man who had risen again, his eyes filled with tears. For the first time in years, He felt seen, not as a scandal, but as an artist. After the film, the audience gave him a standing ovation. 7 minutes of applause. He stood there, overwhelmed. It was not just for the film. It was for his journey, for his fight, for his quiet strength. In interviews after Cannes, Johnny spoke with calm confidence. "I don't feel like I need Hollywood," he said. "I've been through the fire. Now, I just want peace." And maybe that's what redemption looks like. Not loud victories or shiny awards, but quiet days, honest work, and healing moments. Johnny is not perfect. He never claimed to be. He's still learning, still growing, still healing. But he's also still here. He has become a symbol not just of talent, but of survival, of falling hard and getting back up, of being broken, but not destroyed. And that is more powerful than any movie role. Johnny Depp's story is not over. He is still writing it one day at a time. And maybe that's the real lesson you can lose. Everything. Your career, your name, your peace. But if you hold on, if you believe in who you are, you can rise again, because even the most shattered hearts can beat again. Even the quietest voices can be heard. And even the most painful stories can end in hope. Johnny Depp is living proof. Conclusion: the man behind the mask. Johnny Depp was once just a scared boy from Kentucky, hiding behind music and silence. Today, he is known around the world not just as a star, but as a survivor. Behind the costumes, behind the strange roles and famous characters, there is a man who walked through fire and came out stronger. He gave us unforgettable moments on screen. He made us laugh, cry, and think. But his most powerful performance wasn't in a movie. It was his real life facing pain, rejection, and loss with quiet strength. He taught us something simple but deep. You don't have to be perfect to be strong. You can fall. You can break. You can be misunderstood. But if you don't give up, you can still shine. Johnny Depp's story is not just about acting or fame. It's about courage. It's about holding on when the world turns its back. It's about healing, even after everything feels lost. And you, my amazing friends, you can learn from his journey. You can learn English by listening to real stories. You can improve your vocabulary, your confidence, your understanding. But more than that, you can grow stronger in your heart. So what did Johnny teach you today? Was it to keep going when life gets hard? To believe in yourself even when others don't? Or to stay true to your heart, no matter the noise around you? Tell me in the comments. I want to hear your voice. And don't forget, every story here helps you learn English, build confidence, and stay inspired. This is Learn English with Stories 365, and your story is just beginning.